Yes, hi. This is newbie, and this is the part two of our PFSense tutorial videos. For this video, we're going to configure DHCP on our PFSense router. This diagram, as you can see here in GNS3, uh, we have this setup or network setup. So our PFSense router is connected to a switch with the two computers connected to it. Also in this video we're going to tackle VLANs. Our computer number one, which is Ubuntu, will have or will be connected on the VLAN 100 network, and our computer number two is connected to the VLAN 200. So for the basic setup of this GNS3, I'm just using an ordinary switch here, and port number 0 is actually configured as a trunk port um, for the for our VLANs, and port number 1, which is connected on the computer number 1, which is Ubuntu, is configured for VLAN 100. And for our port number 2, which is for computer number 2, it will be set up for VLAN 200. But as of the moment, I'm setting the computer number 2 on VLAN 1 so that we will be able to set up the necessary settings for the DHCP and for the VLANs. Let's go to to my computer number 2, which is the Ubuntu 2020. So currently we only have two interfaces, WAN and LAN, and it is the DHCP server is actually working on the default VLAN, which is VLAN 1. So this is the DHCP server for the VLAN 1, and as you can see, it is enabled, and it is giving the range an IP range from 192.168.1.10 to 192.168.1.245. Currently my computer number 2 is working, okay, but the computer number 1 is not. As you can see here, it is not getting any IP address since, let me just refresh this. Okay. So as you can see, computer number 1 is not getting any IP address since the switch is configured on a VLAN 100, but our router is not actually providing any IP addresses for that VLAN 100. So let's go back to my computer number 2 and let's configure DHCP for VLAN 100. Okay, the first thing that we were going to do is to set up a VLAN. So first, to be able to do that, you need to go to the interfaces and click on assignments and click on VLANs. Okay, then click on add, and the parent interface, we will need to set it to LAN, LAN. VLAN tag, we'll set up by 100, and let's just set a description of VLAN 100. Okay. And let's create another one, which is for the VLAN number 200. Okay, so that is it. We have successfully configured the VLAN in our PFSense router. So first to be able to assign these VLANs on the interface, we need to click on the interface assignments. Okay, right now we only have two, WAN and LAN. Okay, so first to be able to use VLAN, we need to click on add. So we have added VLAN 100 on EM1 LAN. Okay. And let's just click on also the VLAN 200. Click it. Okay, for us to be able to configure this or to change any settings on this interface, you need to click on this OPT1. Okay, we're going to enable it, and I'll just rename it to VLAN 100. That is for me to easily identify that this interface is for VLAN 100. Okay, IPv4 configuration, I'm going to set it to static IP, and for the IP address 192.168.100.254. Why 254? Because I want it. That's it. Okay, just click on this and save it. Apply changes. Okay, so the interface is already set up. Okay, let's create now the DHCP server for this VLAN 100. So for us to be able to do that, we need to click on services and click on DHCP server. Okay. So currently we have a DHCP server for LAN, which is for the VLAN 1, which is the default VLAN. That is why our computer number 2 is getting an IP address. So that's it. So for us to be able to set this one up for the VLAN 100, we need to click on this and click on enable, and the range is set. The range is to 110 to 192.168.100.150. Okay, DNS servers. Let's set this one up to our default gateway. Okay, so that's it. For the gateway, as indicated here, the default is to use the IP on this interface of the firewall as the gateway. Okay, so save this. Okay, so right now we have successfully set up VLAN 100 and a DHCP server for VLAN 100. Okay, so let's go back to my computer number 1. Now let's try to see if we will be able to get an IP address come from that DHCP server. So when I enable it, okay, so we're getting 192.168.100.10, and the default route is 100.254, and also the DNS. These are the things that we have configured on our DHCP server. So, but are we able to get online or access the internet? Because we have this question mark, so I believe we will not be able to do so. So user.com. Okay, so no. So the reason why we are not able to get internet connection on this computer is because that we will need to set up a rule for our VLAN 100. Okay, first to be able to do that, we need to click on firewall and click on rules. Okay, As you can see here on our VLAN 100, we don't have anything. So whenever there is a request, or a request for coming from the VLAN 100, it will check the rules, the firewall rules, and it will see nothing. So for us to be able to have internet connectivity, we need to add a rule that will allow the internet connectivity or allow all on this interface. For the firewall rule, we will set it to pass. Interface is VLAN 100, protocol is any, with that source is any, destination any. So let's just set it to allow all. Click on save, click on apply changes. Okay, let's try and see if we will be able to get internet connectivity. Let me just refresh this one. There you go. Don't have any question mark. So refresh google.com. We're able to access the internet now on computer number 1, which is running on VLAN 100. So let's set up the computer number 2, or the VLAN 200. Okay. So same procedure. Let's go to interfaces, assignments, click on OPT2, enable VLAN 200, reach static, IP address is 192.168.200.254. Let's set this one up to /24. Save, apply changes. Okay, and let's click on services, DHCP server, VLAN 200, enable. Image is 192.168.200.10 to 192.168.200.150. DNS servers. Let's try this one. Try a different one. Okay, click on save. Okay, let's set up the firewall rules for VLAN 200. Pass any. Save it. So let's go back to our GNS3 and set the port number 2 to VLAN 200. Add, apply. Okay. Let's close this one up. Turn off the interface. Turn it back on. Let's try to see. Now we're getting an IP address from our VLAN 200 server, DHCP server. The DNS server is 8.8.8.8. Are we able to access the internet? Let's try to see. .com. Yes, we do. Wikipedia. Okay, good. So let's go back to our router. Okay. Okay. So currently our 2 VLANs are up. So, but we're able to access the web page or the firewall using this IP address. So let's try to correct that one. Let's go to the firewall rules and VLAN 200. Let's add a block. Let's block that. Source VLAN 200 network. Destination LAN network. Save. Apply. So to save, we'll still be able to access the 192.168.1.1. Now our VLAN 200 network is not able to access our LAN network, but our VLAN 100, I believe, still has access to it. Okay. But what if we wanted to access our PFSense web page on this VLAN 200 network? So for us to be able to do that, we will need to type in the address of our VLAN 200 network, which is, I believe, is 200.254. Advance, accept. Okay. So let's try to do the same thing for the VLAN 100. Let's block the access. From VLAN 100 network to the LAN network. Save. Apply. Okay. So let's try this. Computer number 1. Let's close this one first. Okay, that's a no-go. Okay, so for the DHCP server, for us to be able to see computers that are connected to our firewall, we can click on status and DHCP leases. Okay, so here we will be able to see that our two computers getting IP address from our two DHCP server. Okay. And one feature that the PFSense have for this for the DHCP server is that we can set it. We can set a static mapping for a certain computer. So first, let's try to do the computer number 1. Okay, we can click on add static mapping. So here, this is the MAC address of the computer number 1, and if you wanted to give a specific IP address for that computer, we can do so. Let's try that 100. Okay, if we wanted to set up a specific DNS server for that computer number 1. Okay, even gateway, you can do that. Save. All the items will start pivoting. Okay, let's try 9. We're gonna apply changes. Okay, let's check our computer number 1. Okay, so right now on our computer number 1 it is 100.10. Okay, so close it. Check this one out. As you can see, we already have a 100.9 IP address, and the DNS servers are also changed. The default for our DHCP server for VLAN 100, the DNS servers for that is 192.168.100.254. But right now, this computer number 1 is getting a different DNS server. Okay, so these are the basic feature for the DHCP of PFSense. So I believe for the this part 2, that will be it. We have tackled, or we have configured our PFSense server with the DHCP servers for VLAN 100 and VLAN 200. So that would be it. Thank you and have a good day.